So this week's parsha is Parshas Shlach. Here in Eretz Israel, our friends in America are still a week behind, and this Erev Shabbos Chizuck is trying to see how we react to change. See, change is something that is very scary. A lot of us are scared of change, and change is because it brings with it the unknown. There's unknown territory. The entire pandemic was unknown and therefore a scary time period. What's going on in the United States is very scary because the future is unknown. When we feel like we know where things are about to play out, that we understand the future, we're not as scared. But when there is change and the change is unknown, so therefore it becomes a little bit more scary. But the question is how we use that fear, that when we're scared of the change. So fear sometimes could play a role in it, that the people who are scared, the fact that they're scared, that is the cause for their failure because they are scared. But if one is able to embrace fear and is able to welcome failure, one who is scared of failure will end up failing. But one who is willing to embrace failure and to actually, he's not scared to fail, that will be the cause for his success. And I think that's something that we find in this week's parsha, where you have the Meraglim coming back from Eretz Israel, and they gather the whole camp, and everyone is all worked up, and 10 of them are saying that this is too much of a change. We're not going to make it. We're not going to survive. It's too hard to go into the land over there. It's Eretz Ochelet Yoshvea, and it's going to be a terrible thing. And can you just imagine the courage that it took from Yoshua and Kalev, who actually was able to silence the people? First of all, they are a minority as opposed to the majority. What do you guys know? You know better. You were on the same path. So why would we believe you? And already the crowd was already all worked up. They were saying, we can't believe it, and this is what Moshe Rabbeinu took us out of the desert for, and we're all going to die. They were all worked up, and then Kalev had to calm them down. They had everything going against them, but yet they had the bravery to say that, yes, this is going to be different. This is going to be hard. There's going to be change. We don't know all the details of the change, but we're ready to embrace it because we have emunah in HaKadosh Baruch Hu. HaKadosh Baruch Hu told us this is going to be the land of milk and honey. This is going to be the land where we're going to come in and we're going to settle and we're going to have success. So yes, a lot of unknown, a lot of vulnerability, a lot of what's it going to be. But yet, when one is able to embrace it and to say, I'm not scared of failing, I'm not scared of working hard, so then that will be the cause of his success. See, this is so true a lot of times in parenting as well. When we get into parenting, so we like to tell our children, you're so bright. You're so, wow, you're so smart that you got this. So when we tell them that they're so smart, so we're putting them in a box of smart people. There are certain people, if you notice in life, there's certain people who take more risks and there's certain people who take less risks. There's certain people who might be very smart, but it's hard for them to leave the box of being very smart. And therefore, they won't be creative out of the box. Why? Because they don't want to fail. In the box, the things that they know how to do, they like to do. Anything that they don't know how to do, it's scary. It's uncharted water and uncharted territory. And if I go into it, I might fail. And therefore, they don't want to fail. So really what's best to tell our children is not that you're so smart, but like, you really worked hard on this. You put in so much effort, and that's going to be the secret of success in anything in life. You work hard, you may not have gotten 100 this time, or maybe you did get 100. If you work hard, you'll succeed. So even if you're not successful, so the fact that then you were still successful. You were successful that you learned to work hard and that you learned from your mistake. But at the end of the day, you're a person who's willing to take the risks and to work hard. And I think that's something that we can learn from Yoshua, something we can learn from Kalev. And in fact, I heard this from Rebbitzin Mira Wine. And I heard this again from her son just today. And Rebbitzin Mira Wine told me that her husband, who was the head of the Karen Kayemet L'Israel, so he once spoke in front of a whole group of evangelical Christians, and he asked them, "So, can anybody here name me the 12 uh, Meraglim, the 12 spies that came into the land of Israel?" So a few people raised hand. They said, "Oh, it was Joshua," and a few people, "Oh, Caleb." Right? And if I ask you, what are the names of the Meraglim? So who are the only two that we know? We know Yeshua and Caleb. Can anybody here name, unless you're a Baal Koreh, can anybody here name me any one of the other Meraglim by heart? So the ones who are Baalei Kriya, you see Mr. March knows all the names already by heart. He's a Baal Koreh. And so then they might know the names, but the rest of us, we don't know the names by heart. And this is what he told this group of, Israel-loving Christians. He said, anybody who in history was willing to take the risk and to love Israel and to love the Jewish people, despite what anybody else said, he will forever be remembered in world history. But anybody who speaks up against the land of Israel and against the people of Israel will not exist in world history. The Meraglim who spoke against the land of Israel, their name, even though it was mentioned in the Torah, it's not erased. At that time, they were ksherim. But because they spoke against the land of Eretz Israel, they didn't have that emunah in HaKadosh Baruch Hu. They were scared of change. They were scared of making that leap. Therefore, they never really were able to make that change. That was a self-fulfilling prophecy. And that's really for us, to give us chizuck and to give our families chizuck and to give Am Yisrael chizuck. And if anybody listens to this recording, to give them chizuck as well. Change is scary, but this is the time to make change on our own terms and not wait until chas v'shalom things get worse and we have to make changes in our lives as a response to something else. Right now, things are shaky a little bit. There's a knock on the door, but we could still make changes on our own terms. We could whether it's changes to come to Eretz Yisrael like this week's Parsha Shlach, whether it's changes in our own personal life and we were scared to do something, but we were out of jobs. A lot of people making career changes now after this coronavirus. They realized that what I'm doing was not really what I wanted to do. Or companies realized that maybe 20% of the people in their company weren't really doing much and adding so much to their company. So they made changes, and everyone is making changes in a certain way this entire time period. Leading up to this week's Parsha is pulling at us to make an appropriate change in our life for the good. And sometimes it's scary, but if we're scared of it, so then it's going to fail. But if we realize that we're embracing the fear and we're embracing even the fact that we might fail, that itself might be our secret to succeed in whatever change we want to make in our life. So Shabbat Shalom, everybody. It's a real pleasure. This Erev Shabbos Chizik, always a pleasure to see everyone in the Kehillah here together. And I look forward to whoever will be coming to Shul to seeing you in Shul. And if not, we're going to be seeing you here Sunday, 5 o'clock. Rabbi Wine's Pirkei Avos Shir will be live right over here. Looking forward to seeing you.